What is up, guys? Delboy here. So Martin Bakole knocks out Mariusz Wach in 8 rounds to rebound from his first career defeat against Michael Hunter a few months back. And I've got to say, Martin Bakole, he looked fairly good in this fight. You know, Mariusz Wach, as we know, he's well past his best at this point. He was never great to begin with, but against Bakole, he was slow as molasses, to be quite honest. Slow feet, slow hands, slow reactions. You know, basically Mariusz Wach was a punching bag with legs, if we're being honest. But nevertheless, he is tough. He does have a good chin. He does have experience, and he knows how to go a few rounds. So, despite Wach being past his best, and to be honest, he was never great to begin with, I still felt this fight was a fairly risky comeback fight for Martin Bakole, especially after the nature of his first defeat. You know, how he gassed, how he got stopped late on, and going into this fight, I felt, well, if Bakole tries to blast Wach out early on, and he can't do it, how's he going to cope down the stretch? Is he going to gas again? You know, is that a possibility? And I felt to myself, well, Wach, you know, he's the type of guy who can take you rounds, so that was my only reservation going into this fight. That's why I felt this comeback fight had an element of risk to it. Nevertheless, I did pick Bakole to win this fight. You know, I felt he was the younger, fresher, more dynamic fighter, and I felt he would just outwork, outbox, and beat Mariusz Wach up, basically. And that's pretty much what happened. The only thing I think I got wrong, I think I predicted a points win for Bakole, but Bakole got the 8th round stoppage. And for the most part, he looked fairly good. Early on, he was quite aggressive, using a really hard ramrod jab, nice quick jab, the right hand behind it. He was trying to push Mariusz Wach back, and he did that quite effectively. In round 1, you could tell Mariusz Wach felt the power, and I think Mariusz Wach was buzzed a couple of times in round 1. Round 4, again, another really good round by Bakole, forcing Mariusz Wach back and, you know, punishing him in the corner. For a few rounds after round 4, Bakole's output did drop, and Mariusz Wach did have some success. You know, Mariusz Wach was landing some jabs as Bakole was coming forwards. He was also landing some straight right hands. And again, I think that highlights Bakole's lack of defense as the fight goes on, because at the start of the fight, he was a lot tighter, his guard was better, but as it went on, his guard dropped, and he was getting caught with silly shots by Mariusz Wach. However, nothing really affected him. They were fairly innocuous shots, but going forwards, he does need to tighten that up. But having said that, Bakole was still winning the majority of the rounds, and in round 8, Bakole had a good surge of energy, and he got the stoppage victory. Several short right hands to the side of Mariusz Wach's head sent him backwards, and Bakole jumped all over him, and the referee jumps in and stops the fight. I felt it was a really good stoppage because, yeah, Mariusz Wach was starting to get beat up, to be completely honest. And yeah, I think this fight will do Bakole a lot of good. He's gone some rounds against a tough, durable veteran, and yeah, he's got that win back. So yeah, I think it was a good comeback for Bakole. As I said, he shook off some cobwebs, he got some rounds in, and you know, he got that confidence boosting win, and by knockout as well. So all in all, a good day in the office for Martin Bakole. Where does he go from here? I mean, I still think he needs a few more learning fights. You know, he was chucked into that Michael Hunter fight very early on, and in hindsight, that was bad matchmaking, because before that fight, you know, his best opponent was, I would say, Kamil Sokolowski, who's a good journeyman, but it doesn't really prepare. He's got a win over Mariusz Wach. Maybe an ideal opponent for Bakole next would be somebody along the lines of a Joey Dawejko, the American journeyman. I think that would be a good fight for Bakole. You know, Dawejko is very tough, very durable, defensively quite sound. That could be a good fight for Bakole. Maybe a Gerald Washington. We all know Gerald Washington's flaws, but he can box a bit, and, you know, he does have a certain amount of experience, and he's a name, so maybe a Gerald Washington could also be a good fight for Bakole. But for me, I still think he needs a few learning fights, because, like I said, he was chucked in at the deep end against Michael Hunter, and they can't really make that same mistake twice, to be honest. So I wouldn't really have a problem with Bakole taking a couple of more fights against opponents on the same level as Mariusz Wach, to be quite honest, just to build up his experience, to build up his confidence, and to give him a few different styles to figure out in the pro ring. So yeah, good performance from Bakole, a few flaws here and there, mainly defensively, and he did gas a bit as this fight went on, but, you know, he got the win, he got the knockout win, and he had some good moments. So yeah, share your thoughts below. What did you make of this fight? Peace.